Hi, everybody. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the personal essay development and organization assignment. One of the first things I want to say is that if you were following along with the calendar, I have changed it. Originally, it was due on Sunday the 12th, but I'm making it due on Thursday the 9th. So I've changed it here and I've changed it here. So it's in the announcement, it's in the calendar. The reason that I'm doing that is because if you do this personal essay development assignment first, which I told you to do, in the 11 class, then you're actually going to have an outline that's ready to go for the 101 Unit 1 personal essay writing assignment outline. So one of the things that you need to do in 101 by Thursday at midnight is post an outline. You will have that complete here after you finish the personal essay development worksheet in 11. So first, do this, post it here, and then you can use what you've done here to help you out here. And then you can see that you'll still have the draft of the personal essay writing assignment due by Sunday, the 12th at midnight in 101, but you won't have anything due on the 12th by midnight in this 11 course. So if you've already looked at the personal essay development and organization assignment, if you've already looked at the worksheet, I've actually changed it a little bit. You can kind of scroll down and see. I've changed it so that you can get a little bit more out of the worksheet. There were some questions about brainstorming, which we already did over in 101. And you guys did such a great job working on thesis statements and coming up with thesis statements there, finalized thesis statements for your topic, that I didn't want you to backtrack. I didn't want you to have to backtrack and think about starting over with a different topic. You've already chosen your topic. So I tweaked the worksheet from what it used to be a little more helpful to our particular circumstance. So you've already done a lot of great work. So this is what it looks like now. And down here, we've got this outline that you can then cut and paste straight into a Word document and use that as your 101 outline. So I'm just going to show you an example that I filled out. Let's see if I'm open. Yeah. So you can see here on this worksheet in red, I have gone ahead and done this worksheet for my own topic. So the first question is, which prompt did you choose? Cut and paste or type it below. Identify the personal experience and the critical thinking skill or characteristic you chose. So right here, I have describe a time in your life when you were curious and excited about learning something new. That's my chosen prompt. The personal experience I'm going to talk about is teaching a class on Greek mythology. The critical thinking skill or characteristic that I'm going to examine is intellectual curiosity. Down here, the instruction is to brainstorm paragraph topics that you could include in your essay. You should come up with at least 3 different things that you could include. So what are some paragraphs? What can we put in this thing? How are we going to come up with topics? I could talk about my class. I can describe it, the books we read. I could also explain why or how I had doubts about teaching it at first. And then I can talk about how it made me curious again. Those are going to be the 3 things that I'm going to say, or maybe potentially my topics. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to develop this brief outline using the outline template, and I'm going to fill out the side that's on the right-hand side of the table. So I'm going to fill out information over here on this right-hand side of the table. You can see everything I include is highlighted in, or is written in red. So these are all my examples. Over here, I have in italics some instructions. So for the attention getter, I explain that you just want to include 1 sentence that's going to make people want to read your story. It's kind of hard to write in these boxes. Do your best. It might mess with the formatting a little bit. That's okay. Just do your best. The background information, I'm going to write 2 to 3 sentences summarizing my own personal experience. So you can see that the hook is a way to get people interested. My hook is, I never thought I could be so obsessed with books written for 12-year-olds, because that will hopefully make people want to read about it, especially if people, my audience is you guys, and you want to know why your teacher's reading books for children. Down here, you can see that what I've done is I've summarized my whole personal experience of teaching this class in 3 sentences. And I've also tied it back to my hook. So I'm not just going to have a random hook and a random thesis statement. So this is kind of like the bridge between these 2 things. Here's where I talk about Percy Jackson. It's my tie to the 12-year-olds. And then this is the books for 12-year-olds. And then no shade, I love them. If you read them, I'm right there with you. I was just trying to get people interested. Down here, I'm going to I'm going to have my thesis. So this is sort of the bridge in between the two. I'm explaining a little bit about the scenario. And then I'm going to include my thesis statement. And so my thesis statement, what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to open up my finalized topic and thesis statement that you should have some feedback on. So let's say my teacher told me that I need to proofread. Whatever feedback I gave you on that assignment, apply it, work on your thesis, strengthen it, and then you can just cut and paste it right in here. There's my thesis statement. Edit your 101 finalized thesis based on my feedback and paste it here. There we go. When we're looking through here, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with the topic of my body paragraph. And it's going to be, in this case, I'm going to describe my class. I'm going to talk about what it is, it should be in red, what books we read, what we did. This is almost like my background paragraph. I'm just going to let people know a little bit about the class, where I was teaching it, what age group, what it was about, the name of it. I'm giving some information. In the second paragraph, I'm going to explain my doubts about teaching it. You can see I didn't fill out all three of these because these are really my biggest two doubts. You can fill in one of them, you can fill in three of them, you can fill in two of them. This is about getting information and ideas for your paragraphs. This paragraph is going to be about my doubts that I had about teaching it. I was worried because the kids I was teaching were younger than I'm used to teaching, and I was also very busy at the time. So those were my two doubts. Intellectual curiosity is the third thing. If you look here, you'll see that this is a little bit different. It says body paragraph 3, skill or characteristic. And by that, I mean the skill or characteristic of a critical thinker that you're going to talk about in your essay. So the skill or characteristic I'm going to talk about is intellectual curiosity. So these are some things some details I want to talk about with my class. It gave me back an interest in reading. I read the rest of the books in the series. I looked things up online about the subject material. Notice that I'm using I. This is a narrative, so you're using personal. You can use your personal pronoun I. I looked first person totally allowed. I looked things up online about the subject material. These are all examples of how I got my intellectual curiosity back through the class. In the conclusion, I'm going to explain why these things are significant, and I say it's a huge part of me being a teacher to think that learning is fun. So this was a nice reminder, like, hey, that was really fun. That's why you do this. Tie it back to my thesis because I was having fun. I was engaging my intellectual curiosity. And my closing statement. It's always important to recognize and appreciate everyday examples of critical thinking and how they can impact our lives. That's kind of my final take on, the essay as a whole, the last thing I want to say. So this is how I would fill this out, and this is what I want you to do. Now that I've done this, all I need to do for the 101 assignment is copy, open up a new document, and there we go, and paste it into this new document. And I can just save this. Wherever I want to save it. Save it as 101, one outline, assignment. Maybe I'll put my last name in there. Save it, and then boom. Now I can go over to the 101 course, and I can paste this in as my outline in the 101 course. And that assignment is done as well. And I have it all nice and broken down in here. So hopefully that makes sense as to why you want to do it in the order that I suggest. And this gives you an idea of what I'm looking for.